Epic fury, once hailed as America's show of unmatched military power, is now turning into what many are calling an epic failure. Even after President Trump reportedly authorized over $11 billion in just 6 days, the U.S. Army continues to face major operational challenges, while Iran remains largely undefeated, leaving analysts to question whether money alone can turn the tide. As the conflict drags on longer than anyone anticipated, several key U.S. allies are reportedly rejecting President Trump's appeals for additional support at a time when unity is most needed. Despite previously declaring victory, President Trump now insists the war cannot end just yet, and emerging reports suggest there may be strategic reasons behind the surprising reversal that the public has yet to fully understand. As the Iran war enters the end of its second week, new reports suggest the United States is struggling with growing logistical problems that are hampering its ability to sustain operations effective. According to multiple defense sources, the U.S. military is facing a severe shortage of air defense missiles across the Middle East, a critical gap exposing its forces to escalating Iranian strikes. A detailed report published by Iran's Press TV on March 11 has revealed these logistical challenges, citing unnamed sources familiar with internal U.S. military movements and supply constraints. Existing American air defense systems deployed in the region are reportedly unable to fully intercept the ongoing waves of Iranian missile and drone attacks that continue to target key assets. In response, U.S. forces are now racing to move weapons and ammunition from other global theaters, including Europe and the Indo-Pacific, in a desperate bid to replenish their dwindling stockpiles in the Middle East. President Trump has reportedly reached out to America's European and Southeast Asian allies, appealing directly for military assistance and logistical support amid the fast-depleting resources. Sources say Trump has demanded that allied nations dispatch warships to the region and integrate U.S.-made radar systems to strengthen defensive coordination against Iran's sustained offensives. However, his efforts appear to have met with rejection and growing frustration, as many allies remain reluctant to be drawn into a regional war they see as politically and militarily risky. Meanwhile, Iran has claimed it launched at least 40 consecutive strike waves on both Israeli facilities and U.S. bases between the nights of March 11 and 12, signaling no signs of de-escalation yet. Meanwhile, reports suggest the United States may soon receive an additional batch of air defense systems from one of its closest allies, South Korea, in an effort to reinforce its struggling defenses in the Middle East. On March 10, multiple mobile missile launchers were spotted lined up on the tarmac at Osan Air Base, a key U.S. military installation in South Korea, raising speculation that a major redeployment could be underway. According to South Korean media outlets, these systems are believed to include American-made Patriot missile batteries, which may soon be transported and redeployed to strengthen U.S. bases operating in the Middle East theater.
It appears that there is controversy recently over U.S. forces in Korea shipping some weapons, such as artillery batteries and air defense weapons, out of the country. However, depending on how the situation develops, the U.S. military may remove some air defense assets from South Korea based on its own operational needs. While we have expressed opposition to such a move, the reality is that we cannot fully enforce our position. If you ask whether this seriously undermines our deterrent strategy towards North Korea, I can say that it does not.
America's war against Iran is turning out to be extraordinarily expensive, with reports indicating that the total cost has already crossed an astonishing $11 billion in just 6 days of continuous military operations. However, according to the Jerusalem Post, that staggering figure doesn't even include the full cost of the war, suggesting that the actual financial burden could be far higher once logistics, maintenance, and long-term deployments are accounted for. On March 11, President Trump declared that the United States had effectively won the war against Iran, yet in the same breath, he emphasized that American forces would not be leaving the region too early, keeping troops in place despite the supposed victory.
And as we take decisive action to stop the threat posed by the terrorist regime in Iran with Operation Epic Fury. Is that a great name? Well, it's only good if you win. You know, you can only do. And we've won. Let me tell you, we've won. You know, you never like to say too early you won. We won. We won the bet. In the first hour, it was over. And my administration, as you know better than anybody, is also working to keep the oil flowing. It's flowing all over. We knocked out, you know, they wanted to drop some mines. Very friendly people, mines, so boats blow up. And we knocked out every hour I have to change because they knock them out so fast. I've never seen anything. Think of it. They knocked out 54 ships in 2 days, and they're real ships. In fact, I got angry at my people. I said, are they any good? Yeah, they're warships. I said, why the hell did we kill them? Why didn't we just capture them and use them in our Navy? They said they wouldn't have qualified for that. But we knocked out 58 naval ships. We knocked out their Navy, okay? Let's put it that way. But they also knocked out the mine layers. They call them mine layers. They put mines in the water. Lovely job. Isn't that nice? Blow up ships. And we knocked out 31 of them. They'll all be gone. By the time I'm finished speaking, they'll be gone. These people work very fast. But I'm pleased to report that earlier today, the International Energy Agency agreed to coordinate the release of a record 400 million barrels of oil from various national petroleum reserves around the world, which will substantially reduce the oil prices as we end this threat to America and this threat to the world. We don't want to leave early, do we? We got to finish the job, right? Over the past 11 days, our military has virtually destroyed Iran. Tough country. Their air force is gone, totally gone. That took the better part of about 3 hours. They no longer have radar. They don't have anti-aircraft equipment. They don't have anything. Their missiles are down 90%. Their drones are down 85%. We're blowing up the factories where they're made left and right. And then after midnight hammering, then we left. We figured that'll be the end of them for a while. But they started again. That's why we got to finish it, right? We don't want to go back every 2 years. But oil prices are already coming back down, and it's going to come down. But we're not leaving until that job is finished, and it's going to be very fast. It's going to be very fast. But we're not going to count on having competent presidents. We have to assume we're going to have incompetent ones, like the one we had last time that couldn't walk off a stage. Remember?